In this video, I'm going to share with you how we increase our show up rate from 51% to 73% strictly with cold traffic. Now, before I jump into everything, I want to give you some context so that you can take the information I'm giving you and decide whether or not this is valuable information that you will need to implement inside your business. So first things first, this is strictly cold traffic, and we're spending at the time of this video about $25,000 to $30,000 a month on ads. Currently have one setter, one closer, and that is the sales department as I am recording this video. Now, to be honest with you, I am bringing on another closer that we currently have being trained up in a KPI right now, but is a slower process. So I give you that information so that you can make the right decisions as I'm going through this video. Now, the next thing you need to know is, as I mentioned, this is cold traffic. And if you're unfamiliar with what I mean by cold traffic, is cold traffic means that these type of prospects are new to who I am. This isn't your warmed up traffic. This isn't the traffic that has been following you for a while. This is traffic that comes from an ad knowing nothing about you or who you are, and then potentially booking a appointment with you. And I give you this context because the majority of the appointments that we book is cold, and the stuff that I'm going to share with you in this video are things that you can implement inside your own business. And if you are somebody that has a warmer audience and maybe you have a big audience right now, this stuff is really going to help take your business to the next level. So with that being said, the next part is you need to know my approach with this and how I view growing a company. So when scaling a company, there are essentially two main ways that I personally focus on. Number one is just scaling and spending more and doing more. Number two is optimizing first and then doing number one, where a lot of people do the opposite of this, where they just spend more and then try bringing on more team members. And then the business usually crashes and burns, or they have to cut people loose and all that stuff. And I speak this from experience. I've been doing number one for a very long time. And then recently I discovered that the correct way to scale something is to maximize it and get your numbers up as high as they possibly can before trying to do number one. So an example of this would be increasing your show rate or increasing your closing rate. Because when you do this the right way, you scale your business with higher profit margins. I've coached over 700 online businesses, and I see the main problem a lot of people have is they try scaling with number one, just spending more and doing more, which it works for some people, but the problem is you end up scaling to a point where your profit margins are so low and you end up despising your business. You ever been there? I have a full video on it that if you want to go check out my Instagram or go through my YouTube more, you can check it out and hear my video and the lessons I learned from it. I learned a lot, and that's why I'm creating this video for you right now, to help you not make those same mistakes. Because let's think about it and let's actually break this down. If you have 100 sales calls on your calendar and your current close rate is 20%, if you can bump and scale your business up to a 40% close rate, that is going to be an extra 20 closed deals per month. If you, let's say hypothetically, you charge $10,000 per closed deal, that's an extra $200,000 cash collected that you're adding to your business by just optimizing one closer. Because if you get one closer or yourself from a 20% to a 40%, that's an extra $200,000 in your business that you're adding without having to bring on more overhead, without having to bring on another closer, without having to bring on another setter. It's just a small, fine little tweak that you can help grow. So now that I gave you that context, let me actually explain what we did to go from a 51% show up rate to a 73% show rate. First things first, we use direct message ads strictly on Instagram. Now, I've done VSLs, webinars, Facebook groups, YouTube ads, Twitter ads. I used to run an agency, and at a time we've had over 100 active clients. So I'm very familiar with all the other strategies of VSLs, webinars, and all that stuff. The reason I do direct message ads is because of the ability to have a conversation and act as a support system so that you can actually increase your show up rates. Now, I want you to think about this. If you are running a VSL and you're just running traffic to a video for somebody to opt in to fill out a form and then book a call with you, there's very little support on that system where they can actually reach out to you and ask questions. Because what we found from surveying tons and tons of our clients and prospects is they all have questions before the call, and sometimes those questions get played in their head and start second guessing themselves, and then they either cancel the call or they no-show. Whereas when you do direct message ads, you can have a conversation with them inside the DMs, and it works as some sort of support system to get questions answered. And then also you or your team, if you have a setter in there, can actually qualify them and then actually really monitor your space on the calendar. Because we all know that a lot of people lie when they fill out an application just to make themselves look better, whereas you can actually make sure when you're having a conversation with them that they're a good fit. And this is something that's helped us a lot, is just making sure that we're qualifying the right type of people by putting them on the calendar rather than just getting everybody booked. We're making sure that we're getting quality people on the calendar. So that would be my first piece of advice. Number one is make sure that you have some sort of way where you can have some communication with them. I would highly suggest using direct message ads. Now, this all leads into number two, which was I was kind of talking about a little bit in number one, is you need to have a good conversation with them and you need to book high quality people. Don't just book people to book people. This is the biggest newbie mistake. Now, again, full disclaimer, if you don't have anybody on your calendar, just get people on your calendar. But as you start growing your company, you need to be a lot more specific on who you let into your calendar. And that's something that we've been taking a very high protocol on inside my business, is we actually cancel the majority of the people that fill out an application or want to speak with us, because we want to make sure that we're getting the people that are ready to go, that are interested, that are serious to grow their business. So tip number two is focus on quality prospects and don't just book people to book people. Now, number three is use some sort of software like Calendly or Go High Level to book your prospects. And when you book them, make sure that you mark it off so your prospects can only book within 3 days. Now, as you grow and you start booking out those 3 days, you will have to extend your period, which will lead to higher no-show rates, because anyone after 3 days of booking, chances of no-showing are extremely higher. So for example, if you are booking people on a Monday and you're booked all the way up until Friday and you start booking people for Friday, your chances of a no-show rate are going to dramatically increase. But I will share with you some ideas that we have and things that we do. But the main thing is use some sort of software and make sure you're blocking off so people can only book within 3 days if you have that availability. Now, what do you do if someone books more than 3 days out? Well, there's a couple different things you can do. First thing is you can send them some video training. You can say, hey, John, do me a favor, watch this video before our call. It'll give you some context on who we are. Or maybe, hey, John, watch this video based off what you told me. I think this might help you and it'll help you out before our call. Something like that. Another thing you can do, again, if you're going the direct message route or you have access to them, you can go and reply to their stories. Start a conversation. Keep the conversation going, which in reality leads to number 4 is create a before our call page and have content and trainings on here. The whole point of a before our call page is to, one, set the foundation for what the sales call is. Inside ours, we're very direct on what this call is about to be. And we even tell our clients is, hey, come on the call and be ready and be prepared to invest in your business. If you're not, or you don't have the cash flow, feel free to cancel the call, because again, we're only going after certain individuals, because at the end of the day, sales, lead flow, it's just a numbers game. And we're trying to just find that percent of people that are ready to go. The next role of the before our call page is what we call the 7-hour rule of content. So there's this saying, and there's studies, Harvard's done studies around it, where if you can get your prospect to get 7 hours worth of content about who you are, it's going to dramatically increase the show up rate and then also your close rate, especially when you're dealing with cold traffic. Is you got to remember, if you put yourself in these prospect shoes, they probably have no idea who you are for the most part. But the way that we get around that is by using our before our call page, which is a page where we have videos, we have trainings, we have resources, we have so much stuff about us. So we're just essentially giving them 7 hours worth of content within a day if we possibly can. Now, the next tip I have for you is simply just confirm the appointment 24 hours before. There's a couple different ways you can go about this. You can go and just call them. You could have an assistant call them, you could text them, you could email them, you could message them on IG. What we do is 24 hours before the call, we message them on IG and have them reply saying that they're going to be on time and they're not going to be driving, they're going to be actually at their laptop. Because at the end of the day, you get what you tolerate. And if you're direct enough with what you want, yes, you're going to push some people away, but that's perfectly fine, because we're just trying to find the cream of the crops so that we can actually make sure that they show up on time. The other thing with this is what we do, if we reach out to someone 24 hours before and we can't get a hold of them, or we don't get any confirmation after 12 hours, we will actually cancel that appointment and swap it out with someone else. Because at the time of this video, like I said, we have one setter and one closer right now. And my closer's calendar is booked out a week in advance every time, hence why we're bringing on another closer. But the beauty behind this is we have the lead flow to be very picky on who we want on the calendar. For example, if we have somebody on a Wednesday at 4 o'clock who, after reviewing his application, doesn't seem like the best fit, but we're trying to just get a hold of him, just confirm some things, or just confirm that he's going to show up to the call, and he's not responding to us 24 hours before, we'll actually cancel the call and then swap it out with someone that's maybe booked for a Friday, or a hot lead that we're talking to right now that we're trying to book in. So again, this part will only work if you actually have the lead flow, but it is a very huge power play when it comes to managing your calendar. Now, here's a little bonus for you, and an interesting stat is we have found that we have an 80% close rate on any prospect that goes through the entire before our call page, because it's something where they're getting familiar with us. It means they're interested in what we have to do, and they know what they're getting before the call. So that way, when we're on the sales call, it's kind of like slicing butter. It's just explaining what we do and then presenting a price and figuring out a way to work together. So I would highly encourage that you incorporate some sort of before our call on your page and your funnel as well. And as always, if you'd like to take the guesswork out of having a predictable client acquisition system and have me and my team help you install the same exact system that's helping our clients hit six-figure months inside your business, then go ahead and message me on Instagram, the word machine, and we can have a combo on there to see if you're a good fit. And then you can also see kind of how our flow works. And essentially in that message, what we're going to do is just ask you some questions. And if it's a good fit, ask you to hop on a call and then potentially go from there. Because the thing is with our business, and I would encourage you to have this as well inside yours, is be very picky on who you work with. Because at the end of the day, you can't work with everybody. And I think this is something that a lot of six-figure entrepreneurs are doing wrong. And once they get this down, it immediately takes them to seven figures. So that's all for this video, and I will see you in the next one.